Hola, ¿qué tal? Hace unas semanas subí aquí a mi canal de YouTube la versión editada y maquetada del panel del Batman número 1 con Matt Fraction y Jorge Jiménez que tuvo lugar durante la pasada San Diego Comic Con Málaga. No fue el único panel que tuve la suerte de moderar, ya que 2 días después tuvo lugar el de las 1000 máscaras de Batman, donde además de Matt Fraction y Jorge Jiménez también participaron el guionista americano Jeph Loeb y el dibujante y presidente de la compañía DC Comics, Jim Lee. Durante ese panel hablaron de su primer Batman, su Batman favorito, gadgets, villanos, todo lo que se os pueda ocurrir del murciélago de Gotham. Para los que estuvisteis presentes, he hecho una versión un poco más, bueno, editada y maquetada, como hice con el Batman número 1, y para los que no pudisteis estar, espero que esto os sirva para poder disfrutar como disfrutamos todos aquel día. Bienvenidos a Comic Files.
Me han contado que os gusta Batman. Habéis venido a escuchar Batman y hablar de Batman. Este panel se llama las 1000 máscaras de Batman, pero como no tenemos mucho tiempo, hoy solo hablaremos de 8 o 9. El resto las dejaremos para el año que viene. Voy a ir presentando a mis compañeros de mesa, que son los que realmente van a hablar. El primero, ya lo dije el otro día, ha ganado todos los premios que se pueden ganar. Ha ganado Herbates, ha ganado Eisner, ha ganado Pence, ha ganado de todo. Dijo que le encanta jugar con juguetes nuevos. Su nuevo juguete es Batman y lo va a petar mucho. Con todos ustedes, Matt Fraction. Nuestro siguiente invitado, cada vez que escribe a Batman lo convierte en una joya. Lo ha hecho con Tim Sale en el largo Halloween, Dark Victory, lo ha hecho con Jim Lee en Hush y ahora lo está volviendo a hacer otra vez con Jim Lee en Hush 2. Con todos ustedes, Jeph Loeb. Es de muy cerca de aquí. Muy cerca de aquí. Lleva 6, 7 años, he perdido la cuenta, dibujando a Batman. Posiblemente sea el autor que más cómics ha dibujado de la serie regular de Batman. Y de hecho, hace muy poco, hace nada, 3 semanas, junto con Matt Fraction, acaban de conseguir batir el récord y vender 500.000 de copias del Batman 1. Jorge Jimenez.
Hola. Hola.
Y nuestro último invitado no necesitaría presentación, pero voy a hacer un poquito. Cada vez que coge el lápiz y dibuja a Batman, flipamos. Lo ha dibujado en muchos sitios. Lo ha dibujado en su serie regular Batman, en Detective Comics, lo ha dibujado en la Liga de la Justicia. Algunos no se acuerdan, pero también hizo un All-Star Batman y Robin con guión de Frank Miller. Con todos ustedes, una leyenda. Jim Lee.
Awesome. We're here together.
La primera pregunta que le quiero hacer a nuestros invitados es ¿cuál fue su primera aproximación a Batman en los cómics? ¿Cuál fue ese primer cómic que llegó a sus manos y que leyeron y que dijeron, uy, este personaje me resulta curioso, la capa, sus gadgets, lo que sea? ¿Y cuál fue ese primer cómic que vieron de Batman?
It was Batman 316. It came out July of 1978. I was 3 years old. And while I've gone back and I've looked at it a lot, and I can't find, it's kind of an unspectacular issue, all things considered, a sort of nice, straight down the middle kind of issue. It's not particularly beloved by anyone but me. I don't know that it made me fall in love with Batman, but it made me fall in love with comics. And I genuinely feel that without it, I wouldn't be here. So, Batman 316. Irv Novick. Yeah. Len Wein.
Was there a question?
Yeah, what was your first...
I missed something.
First Batman comic. No. First Batman encounter.
Wow, it's... I'm so old. It's all kind of a blur. A lot of it is Neil Adams. Just not even a particular issue. It was just the way that Neil drew Batman and the covers that he did, and it just made me want to look at it and see what's going on. But I think the first time that I was sort of aware that you could tell a story and introduce brand new characters and just sort of create something that no one had seen before was when Steve Englehart and Marshall Rogers took over the book and Silver St. Cloud came in and they introduced Rupert Thorne, and it was just, and then Hugo Strange, a character that hadn't appeared since the 40s, was now suddenly a major villain. And so that just got me incredibly excited, on top of which the artwork was so beautiful and so unexpected that from that point, I think it was just love.
¿Yo? Pues, para mí, la primera vez que apareció Batman en mi vida, yo soy del 86, probablemente fue la película de Tim Burton, de Batman. Yo era muy pequeño, tenía 4 años, o 3 o 4 años, no me acuerdo, y fue la primera vez que me llevaron al cine. Imagino que mis padres pensaban que era una buena idea, pero dicen que me pasé toda la película tapándome los ojos y eso. Y me lo dijo mi hermano, me dije, no viste nada de la película. Pero algo me fascinó del personaje. Recuerdo poco después que una amiga de mi hermana tenía un póster muy grande de Michael Keaton con el Batmóvil. Y desde ese momento Batman fue un personaje que me mantuvo enamorado para siempre.
I think the book I really like, I was around the same age. I was 4 years old in 1986 when Dark Knight Returns, help me. When Dark Knight Returns came out, and it was not my first Batman comic, but it was definitely the Batman comic that changed my life, because I think everything before that I saw as something I loved as a kid. And when that book came out, I loved that book as an adult. I was a senior in university, but it really showed me the full power of this medium and the stories that you can tell. And so that made me abandon all my plans to go to medical school and help people to draw comic books. So
Frank ruined your life.
Frank ruined my life. And many, many potential people I could have saved with my healing hands. But that was a book that really just showed me the power of storytelling. So, and not just that, but the incredible world of Batman. So.
Vale, esa fue vuestra primera aproximación, pero ahora vamos a entrar un poco más en materia y explicadme cuál es el Batman que os marcó. Ese cuando ya quizá teníais una edad un poco más elevada y quizá empezasteis a entender más ese trasfondo del personaje, esa obra que dijisteis, buah, esto que acabo de leer va a ser muy importante en mi vida.
Gosh.
It was Hush.
It was Hush. It was Hush. There was, yeah. It was just right there. Shit, I can't believe I just let that sail by. The jet lag is really kicking in. I don't want to give the kind of pat, easy answer that's kind of predictable. Around the time of the Tim Burton Batman films, a lot of old stories were reprinted. You know, there was a Greatest Batman Stories Ever Told collection. It was my first exposure to a lot of the kind of golden age Batman stuff. And that book I just read until it fell apart. Because it both, you know, everything was entirely different than what I thought I understood a new Batman was, but also was entirely consistent with what it was. Oh, he doesn't like to be seen without his cape. Don't change it. Don't look at Batman's butt. Don't. He doesn't. But no, there's a spirit of invention in that, in the Golden Age stuff, especially where they're, you know, the idiom, the medium of comics are being invented every new page and panel they draw, and it just feels so wildly creative, and it's like watching a wild horse just gallop forever. Like, oh, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, we can go here, we can go that, and just how rapidly it evolves and changes and grows, and it somehow is always still Batman. So my answer would be that the greatest Batman stories ever told was, because it was, you know, 50 years of wild invention. Don't clap. Oh.
Oh, I just go?
Yeah.
I keep forgetting. I still haven't learned how to do this yet. It'll always be year one.
That was my answer.
Well, you can answer it differently. I think, you know, Frank Miller and Dave Mazzucchelli just sort of stopped and said, we're going to tell you a story that you've heard before, but it's going to be different than anything you've ever seen. The way it's drawn, the way it's colored, the way that the use of shadow and light, and more importantly, the narration that Frank wrote about what was Batman thinking about. And, you know, I make no excuses for the amount that I've just stolen from him. And told him, and he's like, okay, that's fine. And I think the greatest compliment that I've ever been paid in this business was that I hadn't spoken to Frank in literally like 20 years, and we ran into each other at a convention, and he looked at me and he said, I've been wanting to tell you this for, I can't tell you how many years. I just never had any way to get in contact with you. You're one of the few people that understands Batman the way I understand Batman. And I was like, okay, that's just too much compliment. Stop. I don't. And then, as only Frank can, he said, because you know he's insane. And I went, okay, and now I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say, but just thank you and okay. And so I guess I've been writing in a crazy person because of a crazy person. So it's good. It's a good reason.
Pues yo, a ver, mi primera aproximación ya un poco más emocional con Batman fue gracias a la serie animada de los 90, a las figuras. Yo era un niño que jugaba mucho con muñecos de juguete de Batman y de alguna forma mi forma de jugar era ya como hacer un cómic, ¿sabes? Yo ni siquiera leía cómics cuando era pequeño, pero yo jugaba mirando como si mi vista fuera un poco el objetivo de la viñeta, acercaba mucho cuando la conversación era tensa y lo alejaba cuando saltaba porque yo me veía mi película. Y todo eso fue con las figuras de Batman, curiosamente. Es decir, esa fue mi forma de encariñarme con el personaje. Honestamente, ni tenía demasiado contexto. Iba teniendo el contexto de la serie animada, pero eso fue muy importante para mí. A nivel cómic, el que primero leí, curiosamente, fue El regreso del Caballero Oscuro, porque me lo dio mi primo. Me dijo, toma, léete, porque él siempre decía que yo solo leía manga. Y me dijo, léete esto. Y me recuerdo leerme ese cómic y al principio como que no estaba yo muy convencido de lo que estaba leyendo, tal, pero fui pasando páginas y disfrutando y fue una experiencia increíble para mí leer por primera vez ese cómic, que sea tu primer cómic de Batman, fue muy especial para mí, la verdad. Pero hay algo que quiero contar también, que no sé si es el momento, pero debo decir que yo siempre hablo de que vengo del manga y cuando empecé a dibujar siempre estaba como muy obcecado en dibujar al estilo manga, tal, y yo no quiero hacer cómic americano, me gusta, pero como que me resultaba una estética que no conseguía conectar con ella, porque estaba muy obsesionado con el manga, hasta que llegó a mis manos el primer cómic que yo leí de Jim Lee, que es Hush, Batman el Silencio, y me explotó la cabeza.
Sure. Yeah.
Ese... Lo juro. ¿Vale? Cuando vi el arte de Jim Lee y vi cómo él adaptaba esa estética, me cambió la mirada con la que yo empecé a ver todo el cómic americano y a partir de ahí empecé a apreciar a otros artistas de cómic americano gracias a ver cómo él había procesado su forma de ver la estética en los cómics. Con lo cual estoy eternamente agradecido, tanto a nivel de guión como de dibujo, a ese cómic en concreto porque hizo que profesionalmente yo abriera mi mirada para dedicarme a trabajar como dibujante de cómics en el mercado norteamericano. Lo juro, eso fue así.
I owe him $100.
The surgeon did a good job of repair. No, my answer is the same. I think Batman Year One, right? So Dark Knight Returns, very powerful in how it showed the potential of the art form. But Batman Year One was the one that made me really like Batman. I didn't really get Batman before. He didn't have any superpowers. I know everyone thinks that's really cool, but to me, like, he can't fly, he can't see through walls. What can he do? He's got a lot of money. It's like, a little boring. But Batman Year One made it relatable, like, because it showed his journey from someone who didn't know how to fight crime and him not even having a costume, putting the scar on his face, barely beating those people, fighting in a fire escape. And I kind of understood his journey. I understood what he was trying to do, and it made him very relatable to me. And so whenever I go out and fight crime, I think about Batman Year One. Anyway, so, but that was very kind of you, Jorge. But it's interesting because a lot of my work, it's not super visible, but there's a lot of manga influences in it because back in the 80s, before pop culture even existed for you, I was buying, Akira. Marvel Comics was importing Akira Tomo's work, and I was reading Appleseed and anything. I couldn't read it, most of it, because it was in Japanese, but certainly the visual storytelling had a big impact on what I was doing with the X-Men and even Batman. So maybe that's what you liked about it. I don't know. So. Yeah.
remember when First Comics reprinted Lone Wolf and Cub, and they had Frank doing covers?
Yeah, that's right.
That was my first manga,
Yeah.
and I don't know that I would have followed it were it not for well, Frank drew a cover. It's got to be great, and like I still remember like what, just feeling like the top of my head had been sheared off. Right, that was the gateway for me to manga, where that was Frank doing covers for Lone Wolf and Cub. Like
beautiful.
Yeah. Sorry, Frank's pretty good. Frank Miller, pretty good. Good guy. That's my bold stance.
Vale, vamos a intentar ponernos un poco más originales y que piensen un poco y a ver si son capaces de decirnos, y no hace falta que sea en un orden establecido, pueden interrumpirse y copiarse o lo que quieran, ¿cuál es su gadget favorito de Batman?
The Batmobile. The Batmobile. The Batmobile is the king of the gadgets. It's the best gadget.
Yeah.
Like,
Not for you.
What's the toy or
best gadget.
best gadget?
And why is it the Batmobile?
I mean, I love that sort of everybody has their favorite Batmobile, and that's cool. To me, this sort of gadget land is in the cave, and the idea that it exists or it doesn't exist. I can't. They tell me every day something's changed. So, but like when I look at that, what's there, like the giant Joker card and the idea of when Jim drew, he called me and he said, "So we're going to do the inside of the cave in Hush One," and I love that it's now called Hush One. And so he said, I'm thinking, because I had said that there was a Batmobile and then there was another Batmobile on top of it, the way that they park cars in New York City. And he said, well, but it's Batman. So he would have like a Ferris wheel of different Batmobiles. And I was like, dude, if you want to draw all that, go right ahead. If I was working with Tim Sale, he would put like maybe you'd see some headlights way in the back in the shadows, and you wouldn't see the car at all because he hated drawing cars on top of everything. But Jim drew like 9 different cars, and I was like, okay, this is cool. But now my new favorite thing is in Hush 2, like he's running around on a bat bike. And I just, because I thought what Chris Nolan had done in The Dark Knight, and particularly when Catwoman was riding it, I was like, this is cool. I like this bike. So I'm going to go with Bat Bike. Sorry.
So it's like a half a car. Jim, was it All-Star? Didn't you did a fold out of the Batcave, right?
I did, yeah.
Was that All-Star?
That's right.
Yeah, and it was just like, oh yeah, this is the only establishing shot in comics that deserves a fold out.
Sure.
The Batcave.
Right. But
the coolest secret hideout ever.
But if you look at it, it makes no sense, right? Like that he's got stairs and things just.
No, it's the Accessibility Act.
Exactly.
He's got to,
not up to code.
FEMA has been there and like, listen, we're going to need to get some stairs here. There's got to be. Think about it.
And who doesn't want a giant penny in their house? Like, come on.
Nick Darrington has built one.
Okay.
During the pandemic, Nick Darrington made a giant 20-foot tall replica of the penny.
Yeah.
And it is in his house.
Nick Darrington needs help.
It was the pandemic. We were all going through some stuff. Nick yeah, it is remarkable that his wife allows it. But it's amazing. Yeah.
Do you have a
Sí, es que no me he enterado del último que ha dicho. ¿Cuál es? Okay.
Sí.
Yo creo que el grapple gun, el gancho, ese gancho es mágico. Es capaz de desafiar las leyes de la física, lo sabéis, ¿no? Yo cuando dibujo digo, no sé si aquí colará, pero bueno, vamos con ellos. Entonces él lo tira y se engancha siempre y siempre funciona. y siempre tiene recambios de... Es brutal, el grapple gun es mágico y solo Batman sabe cómo funciona. Así que es perfecto.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to reveal to you guys, because you guys are special fans, a secret, a gadget that has never been fully explained in Batman lore, which is there's a cartoon character called Felix the Cat. Does anyone know Felix? Right. And he would have a magic bag of tricks, which are endless. So Batman's utility belt is a bag of tricks, because I don't know how you put the grappling belt and batarangs, and in Hush 2, he's got a full medical kit with CPR. I don't know. I'm very, like, Jeph knows, like, I have to figure things out. How does all this fit in those little pouches? And then even before those pouches, in the 70s, he just had a belt with, like, little tubes, you know? Yeah. And so... where is he pulling out of all this stuff?
I always thought it was just behind him.
Yeah, right. It's
like a guy who had a gun shoved down his pants.
It's an interdimensional bag, and that's where all that stuff.
It's a boom belt. It reaches like a boom. It works like a boom tube.
It makes absolutely no sense. I wish that you guys need to write a scene where he reaches in and goes, no, that's not. Yeah, exactly. Because I brought a backpack of stuff, and I can't find anything in there, right? It's like it's a giant black hole of junk.
Sí.
So.
De hecho, en la nueva etapa intenté hacer un plano lógico de cómo en la nueva etapa intenté hacer un plano lógico de cómo iba incluyendo todos los gadgets en el cinturón. Entonces, el primero bien, el segundo bien, así el tercero, el cuarto, y de pronto dije, vale, atrás va todo, ¿vale? Okay.
I bet it hurts to, like, you ever sit on your keys?
For sure.
I bet it hurts to sit on a like, he's always sitting on his batarangs. And...
No, or the characters that have swords on their back.
Oh, yeah.
So I mistakenly gave Jason Todd a sword and a crowbar on his back. I'm like, how does he sit in a car and drive? You know, like, it would be, and so there's all sorts of problems with physical reality. And so, yeah, so Superman or Batman, he has superpowers for sure.
Storage, super storage.
Super storage.
Yeah, really an
super
efficient
storage.
hacker.
Yes.
Bien, ahora que hemos acabado de hablar de los gadgets, vamos a entrar en otra de las cosas muy peculiares del universo de Batman. Y quiero que me habléis, pueden ser vuestros preferidos, el que más odiéis de dibujar o de escribir o lo que sea. Vamos a hablar de los villanos de Batman.
Villains are great. It's why he's the coolest character in comics. He's got the coolest stuff. Like they're great. I love the dumb ones. I love the big ones. I love the popular ones. I love the weird, obscure ones. It's like anybody who gets to do this for a moment gets to personify all of their dreads and anxieties in an action figure and have the coolest superhero in comics beat them up. It's like being able to read 85 years of therapist notes. You know, they're great. They're all great. And as the guy currently in the moment, Hush is my favorite. Yes.
This is the best villain. I'm sorry, my thing doesn't work. That's the problem.
He's speaking in English, though, I'm pretty sure.
No, I understand Matt, and I'm trying to figure out
That's very sweet.
what the question is.
No, you don't understand me.
No, I don't, but...
Long Halloween is a perfect example, though, of like all these, like Long Halloween was a great example of these characters that have existed for a long time, but then suddenly they're all new and they're all, like that's the fun of this, the magic of the book is like you can reinvent these, they're all these archetypes for all these different things.
Yeah.
Like that.
I mean, for me, it's hard because you don't know what side she's on, but it's always be Catwoman. And if I literally could just write the two of them and nothing else happened, I just love that the banter between the two of them, and that she's really the only one that can be honest with him. Everybody is either afraid of him or trying to figure him out or wants to kill him or wants to fall in love with him. And she's just, you know, she get asked once, I remember, he's like, what is it that you want? And she says to him, I'm a cat. I'm just curious. I just love to play with a ball of yarn and knock it around. And I don't think any other character has that relationship with him. And that, to me, is so much fun to be able to do that.
Bueno, tendré que decirlo yo, ¿no? Es muy obvio, pero es que Joker... No, básicamente sí, me sorprende el personaje, me aterra, es un concepto que me da mucho miedo. Considero que hay muchos Jokers en el mundo real y me dan mucho miedo todos, y entonces es algo que por eso lo hace especial, porque hay gente así y sí. Y es como que a la vez, claro, cuando lo dibujo, intento trasladar eso, intento trasladar esa mirada vacía en la que no hay nadie al volante y a la vez, sí. Y me flipa, siento ser tan obvio, pero es que Joker es probablemente no solo el mejor villano de Batman, sino probablemente el mejor villano de la ciencia, yo qué sé, de toda la cultura pop, básicamente.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Two-Face. Yeah. Because he's a good guy that gets horribly disfigured, and then that's his origin story. And, you know, I think that gives him a different twist than a lot of other characters where they started off evil and became more evil. To me, he's someone that's fallen from grace, and there's... and in Dark Knight Returns, that first issue, you know, there's a lot of sympathy that Batman has towards this character. And so I think it gives them an interesting dynamic that you don't necessarily see in a lot of other Batman rogue relationships. And I'm just so thankful that we got to do so much with Two-Face in the original Hush run. So I want to thank Jeph for that. We didn't do anything with Two-Face. So he showed up at the very end, I think. Yes. But anyway, no, he's
and he was One-Face.
That's right. Yeah, he was already One-Face at that time.
Twist.
So, yeah. So to me, I think just psychologically, he's just a very, very interesting character, and yeah, it'd be very fun to do something with him more. So.
Vale, llevamos 85 años de historia del personaje de Batman, donde, tal y como han comentado cada uno de ellos en diferentes ejemplos, han tenido muchos guionistas, han tenido muchos dibujantes, se han hecho la pelota entre ellos varias veces durante el rato que llevamos hablando. Entonces, me gustaría que les quiero dar más oportunidades de hacerse la pelota unos a otros y que me digan... que en la parte de los guionistas y en la parte de los dibujantes, ¿qué artistas son los que les han influenciado más a la hora de, en los guionistas, explicar historias o de los dibujantes dibujar a Batman?
Did you get that?
Yeah, for some reason it's not working, so that part I understood. It's where I'm supposed to say I love all of Matt Fraction's work.
Without room. Exactly. Jorge brought up the animated series, which is kind of one of my favorite examples to use as why I think the character has endured this long. It's nothing like anything anybody had seen before. It was entirely new. It was made up of all these different influences that weren't necessarily the comics, and yet it is such a pure distillation of the comics, of the characters, of that world. You know, it really proves that you can, you know, there's a Batman story right now where he's a giant robot. There's a Batman right now where he's a knight in England. There's art, you know, like it's all valid and it all works, and it is the Million Masks of Batman, right? It's, I think the animated series is such a, oh right, you can do anything with this, and it's somehow still Batman. Like it's magic.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw, and the fact that I know all those guys, Alan Burnett and Eric Radomski, and Bruce Timm gets a lot of the credit. It is an exceptional device at storytelling on every level, not just on animation, but just in terms of being able to tell that many stories that each are surprising in their own way, and I think really help a lot of people to understand what Batman is and who Batman is. I've talked a lot about the people that have influenced me, Frank being at the top of the list. Steve Englehart certainly comes along. Denny O'Neil, Archie Goodwin. I think the sort of, at least I hope that the fun of reading what I write is that if you've been a Batman fan long enough, that you see all of the things that I saw, and I just like saying, I'm gonna try to do that the best way that I can. And so sometimes it feels very familiar, but I've always said that the stories that I tell are the stories that take place in between the issues that you read. So because I'm not the biggest fan of continuity, as many of you know, and I have always said and gotten in a lot of trouble because I've said all I know is that Jimmy Olsen never became Robin, and other than that, you can do whatever you want, and of course, editorial does not appreciate that. So I'm just here to sort of tell you that when I finally tell my Jimmy Olsen becomes Robin story, it will be the last Batman story I ever tell.
I don't know if that applause means they want that or not.
Pues yo a nivel artístico, referentes de Batman, he tenido muchos. Me cuesta mucho decir un nombre concreto porque además yo suelo mirar mucho el trabajo de compañeros. Entonces, incluso aplico mucho la visión que tienen otros artistas que yo admiro a cómo hacen ciertas partes y ciertos detalles para aplicarlos a cómo yo los trasladaría a Batman bajo su mirada. Muchas veces cuando me inspiro con otros compañeros intento meterme en su cabeza, cosa que es imposible, pero lo intento para ver cómo haría esto aquí tal o cual. Entonces, esa mezcla a lo largo de los años me ha llevado a ir teniendo un estilo como el que tengo actualmente, pero probablemente siga evolucionando cuando me cruce con nuevos artistas. Entonces, recientemente, por ejemplo, he ido atrás y me estoy mirando mucho el trabajo de Norm Breyfogle, porque me parece increíble y se adapta un poco a la estética que quería yo buscar. Pero, por ejemplo, me inspira gente nueva, gente que está en el mercado con una potencia muy fuerte, como Dan Mora, que me gusta resaltarlo y me gusta nombrarlo porque es muy inspirador para mí también, y él es nuevo. Obviamente antes he dicho Jim y muchísima gente, Jock, cuando hacía las texturas más sucias de tinta. Entonces he probado muchos estilos porque me gusta mucho inspirarme por artistas que van pasando por delante de mí, y creo que es injusto nombrar a solo una persona porque realmente mi estilo es una mezcla de toda la inspiración de tantos grandes artistas a lo largo de toda la carrera, de lo que llevo, tanto del pasado como del presente. Así que esa sería mi respuesta, creo.
So my answer, I don't know if it answers the question, but when I read a Batman comic, I think I'm not reading it the same way like a fan reads it. Like I'm looking for what inspired this pose of Batman, what inspired the artistic decision to make the whole cowl all black or to have it side-lit or whatever. And it was interesting when I was reading the first issue of Batman #1, now on sale now, guys, so you can get a copy. Yeah, it's not?
If there's anybody here who doesn't have it, I can't believe
Yeah,
you.
it's, okay, sorry. You know, and I talked to Matt about this right before we had a talk at San Diego Comic-Con at a panel, which was, you know, I liked how he led the story talking about the weather in Gotham. And so I asked him, was that a callback to Dark Knight Returns? Because that story also opens with like the hottest day in Gotham City history or whatever. And he said, yes, it was. And so so when I read a story, that's kind of like what I'm looking at. And so when I think about influences, I'm really dissecting not just what I'm reading and seeing, but how do they make that decision? Is this fight sequence inspired by something I read in the 70s or 80s? So I don't know if that's a healthy way of reading comic books, but it does prove my point, which is that we all stand on the shoulders of the giants that preceded us, and that in a way we are creating parts of a much larger story over these many, many decades. And so it's just an honor really to be sharing the mantle of being a Batman creator with these fine, talented creators. And even, you know, when you guys were drawing Gotham City, I was like, wow, they're doing kind of an Akira take on it. There's no rain, but it's very neon and very, almost like Neo-Gotham. And so I assume that was maybe coming from that influence as well. But so anyway, that's the kind of stuff I like to think about. And every writer, every creator, every artist brings something new to the game and also pulls things from the past. And I just love seeing how they take that and reinterpret it, make it their own. And so I think for that reason, I think almost every creator is some sort of inspiration. And even when they do things I don't particularly care for, when I was like more,
what, Jim? Like what?
Well, I'm going to tell you. Not anything you guys did, but when I was younger, I was more closed-minded about what I liked or didn't like. And so when there were stories like where Batman became a vampire, that always kind of didn't feel like Batman to me. But now, as a professional, I understand the instinct to want to do something and push yourself to tell a story that might be very challenging to tell. And so there's a lot more to it behind what you experience as a reader, and that's given me like much deeper, more profound appreciation of what everyone brings to the table when they sit down to create a Batman story. So, yeah. That's a great story.
El regidor, ¿me puede confirmar que estos 3 minutos de aquí es lo que nos queda? Tengo un montón de aliados que no están de acuerdo. Entonces, voy a hacer una última pregunta y si no, discutís con todos ellos. ¿A que sí? Sí. Una última pregunta. Si podéis, ¿alguna vez os ha pasado o que quisierais hacer algo con Batman, pero que a nivel editorial no se podía o por el respeto que hay por el personaje? A mí me encantaría hacer esto con Batman, pero no se puede o no puedo. Hemos de recordar que Batman es un personaje que ha tenido muchos autores, que pertenece a DC Comics y a veces estos personajes a veces son difíciles de quizá tener la libertad de un personaje que has creado tú mismo. Entonces no sé si a ellos les ha pasado que han querido hacer algo, que han pensado, ostras, estos no puedo, o la propia editorial les ha dicho, no, esto con Batman no se puede hacer.
I'm very new here, so
yeah,
I have the
welcome to the nightmare.
But the only thing I was told was that he can't fight Daredevil. Apparently, that's something about lawyers. I really thought, well, now's the time for Batman and Daredevil, but apparently that's the only time I've heard no so far.
Yeah, we had a 1-hour meeting about that, Matt. Yes, that's confirmed.
Cool, you're welcome.
No good.
There are challenges. You inherit things from other stories and then some days they matter and some days they don't. And I think one of the reasons why I continually return to the world of The Long Halloween and now in the last Halloween, it's because it's in the past. And so I think that editorial sort of goes, yeah, it's not really what happened, but it's okay because it lives over there. But for good or for bad, I hope for good, Jim loves to play in the present, in continuity, and really truly believes, not just as being the publisher, because he continually reminds me that when we're working, he's not the publisher, he's telling the story with me. And it's our responsibility to tell a story that adds to the continuity, that doesn't break it, that doesn't make it seem like something that was done before was wrong, and I'm going to do that. And so it's just, there isn't any specific thing that I can point to, but I truly believe, and I think I've been lucky to work with the people in editorial who understand that I like working in what's called continuity through omission, meaning I'm not saying that this didn't happen. I can give you better without getting into trouble. I can give you an example of when Tim Sale and I were doing Superman for All Seasons, and the then editorial people said, you don't have Clark playing football. And I said, because it's ridiculous. And they said, well, that's too bad. He played football. And I said, not in any world that I lived in. I believe in the movie where Glenn Ford says to Jeff East, I don't know what reason you're doing here, but it's not so that you can score touchdowns.
And there's one thing I do know, son, and that is you are here for a reason. I don't know whose reason, whatever the reason is, you know. Maybe it's because, I don't know, it's, but I do know one thing. It's not to score touchdowns. Huh?
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
And I believe that to be true. I don't think he played. I'm sorry. I know John Byrne had him playing football. Good for John Byrne. And they said, no, you're going to have to address this. And I said, okay. And so if you look carefully in Superman for All Seasons, in the 4th chapter in winter, he comes over to the house, at Lana's house, or Lana's house, and he's wearing a Letterman jacket. And that was it.
Continuity address.
And everyone went, that's fine. You're not saying it didn't happen, and you're not saying it did happen, but you can't just get a Letterman's jacket if you don't know what that is. It's what they give you in American sports when you're on a team. And I didn't want to tell anybody that he was wearing his father's jacket, and that was all it worked for me.
I thought it was like Quiz Bowl. I thought he was like Quiz Bowl.
Mi respuesta es muy rápida, que veo que nos quedamos sin tiempo. Como ya sabéis que llevo 5 o 6 años haciendo Batman, he tenido la suerte de hacer a Batman de muchas formas y en situaciones muy diferentes. Es decir, que sí, casi todo lo que quería hacer con Batman lo he hecho, pero estaría bien, no sé, volver al azul, hacer un capítulo número 1, o sea, de presentación, y tal vez con un poquito más de color en general, un tono diferente, que no llueva en Gotham, y con un guionista, yo qué sé, como Matt Fraction.
We had a lot of meetings about that. What do you mean no rain in Gotham City? How are we going to sell these books?
People love rain. Exactly. It's why they buy the book.
What are we going to do with all this water that we bought? Yeah, so people are leaving, so I got to wrap it up. So I wasn't told anything specific not to do, but I was told by then publisher Paul Levitz when I started Hush, and I don't know if he told you, he said, you're going to have access to one of the world's greatest treasure chests of toys to play with. Characters that have been created over 50, 60 years of storytelling. Have fun, but also return the toys in good shape, and also add a new toy. And I was like, you mean like really, or like whatever? So that was the reason we came up with Hush, because that was not the original intent, and those were wise words. So I think that was really, for the most part, now that I'm on the managerial side of things, I don't think it's healthy to give directives and say, don't do this, because sometimes the challenge for a creative is to pick something that's outlandish, like a vampire story, and then be able to pull it off. And right, so why stop them in that aspiration? Why prevent something that might just be magical? I think it's more like, hey, this is what we need from you, which is another toy in the toy chest, another cool way to update the mythology and keep Batman as exciting and as contemporary as he is now, as back in 1939 when he was introduced. So that's really the directive. And that allows artists to go out and do long ears, short ears, magical utility belts, new Batmobiles, all these kinds of things. Because if we were so concerned about it being the exact same way, we would tell them, don't do something, don't do your take, don't put a blue cape. And you know what? I drew the blue cape and the colors made it green. So I don't know what's going on. But anyway, on the variant cover I did. But I love the introduction of the blue color. And like I said, if you don't allow people to do that, you're not going to get something new. And that's how you keep these characters interesting and contemporary and fresh, is by pushing yourself and doing something new and challenging. So, yeah.
Bueno, lamentablemente tenemos que dejarlo aquí, pero justo ahora en Estados Unidos hay un Batman número 1 que ha vendido 500.000 de ejemplares. En España tenemos un Batman número 1 #2 que acaba de publicar Panini, el de Jeph y el de Jim. O sea que justo estos 4 autores, tanto en Estados Unidos como en España, lo están petando con Batman. Muchas gracias a todos. Gracias Matt, gracias Jeph, gracias Jorge, gracias Jim.
Thank you, translators. Thank you, translation team. Thank you.